All right. If you read the title of this video, you kind of know what's going to be happening here. Athodai is getting a new augment. Pain Points is the name of it, and I am currently about an hour and a half away from reset. I'll have enough right after reset for this. And this is 600% weak point damage. And so I'm going to try to explain what I'm going to be going for a Riven on this, just because I think it'll be the most fun I'll have with the weapon. So let me just explain how Xata Blast works. Just to skip a lot of the math here, the most important thing that you need to know is that weak point damage kind of lies to you in terms of what the bonus is. You'll actually see that this plus 191 weak point damage is going to roughly double our headshot damage. Which kind of seems correct, but what you need to know is that basically because of some weird jank years and years ago, the actual weak point damage that you get is multiplied by 1.5 after it's added to the 3x headshot multiplier. And so it does slightly less damage than you'd kind of expect it to. Don't ask me why it's like that. As far as I'm aware, it's basically legacy code is the reason. But because of that, weak point damage is kind of fake compared to like what the actual numbers are. So you can't see this and say, hey, this is going to do about three times damage. It's actually going to do about 2 times damage. If you want to know more about this, I'm going to link some videos down in the description of how acuity stuff actually works. But the thing that's important for us is that Xata's actually double dips with weak point damage. So let me show this without it first so you can kind of get an idea of what kind of damage you would normally expect from Xata's Whisper on a crit. So you'll see here that when we crit this runner, we're getting 2,555 Xata's damage, right? Because headshots are effectively applied twice for Xata's, they tend to do more damage with Xata's in the first place. But when you have weak point damage, it does way more damage because that modifier is going to be used twice, right? So here is our about 200% acuity damage. So you see how that's doing like 9,000 damage? That's kind of the behavior that we're looking to abuse here. Xata's Whisper basically just works really well with weak point damage. And so because this weapon now has the highest weak point damage bonus in the game, I am really looking forward to using Xata's Whisper with this. That is kind of the basic reason that I'm spending so much Kuva on this, is because I think I can get a mod that really leans into this interaction with a Riven. So I'm just going to do my best to, find one that actually works really well. Second thing you need to know is that not only does Xata's work well with weak point damage, it also works really well with Blast. Blast procs will actually benefit from Xata's. And when these actually wear off, you can see that we're actually getting 2 more Xata's procs from this. So it's really good. So basically it almost triple dips on that weak point bonus because we're hitting it once. We're getting the initial weak point damage, which is determining how much damage the Xata's proc will do. And then that Xata's proc is multiplied again by the weak point bonus. And then when the blast proc happens, because that blast proc is based on the base damage of the initial hit, we're getting a 3rd hit from Xata's. So altogether we end up with like a lot of damage. All right. Quick description of the Lavos build. It's very normal. If you haven't seen a weapons platform Lavos build before, the most important thing you need to know is about the Valence Formation Augment. This basically force procs whatever element you have activated for it, as well as giving you like 200% elemental damage on the weapon. It's especially useful for Blast because you basically get free Blast procs. Like, look at that. We just get Blast procs, and so you can stack Blast all the way up to its max stacks and just immediately proc it. We don't have to think about it at all. We just have Blast. It also lets us bypass the Athodai's really shit status chance. 8% is not a lot. And actually, there's another nice thing about this too, because Xata's Whisper, we don't want it to status proc, because what will happen, let me just set this up with like a ton of status chance real quick. We'll put this in and these guys in and this thing in. Okay, so now we have 36% status chance. If we use Xata's Whisper, you'll see that we'll get these bubbles sometimes if I don't proc gas. So you see this bubble thing? It might be a little bit hard to see, but what you need to know about it is that this pulls bullets. It works exactly like Mag's bubble. This just pulls bullets towards the center of wherever it's on, and it actually turns out that if you shoot something in the leg, the bubble will appear on the leg, and so now every hit will go to that same location, right? Which is really bad for us, because if we shoot something in the body on accident and we get this proc, we can't headshot it anymore because the bullet is getting pulled into their torso. So ideally, if we can, we want to avoid these bubble procs as much as possible. And we're lucky here because Xata's status chance is actually based on the main weapon's status chance. So in this case, what we can do is if we just minimize our status chance on this weapon that already has pretty low status chance, we'll just avoid getting too many bubbles, right? So, and that actually leads us to our first beneficial stat for the Athodai. We want negative status chance here. This is going to be just for this build. I think if you're doing a normal build with the Athodai, you wouldn't want negative status chance, but because this is the only thing that I'm really excited for with it is Xata's Blast, I want negative status chance. If I could get negative status chance, I'm super happy with that because I'm only going to use this weapon on Lavos anyways, because I think that's where it's going to be the most fun. So let's get negative status chance. Why not? We'll just make it that much better. Let's actually talk about the kind of stats that we do care about for this. So I'm going to kind of put these in a tier list of like what I think is going to be the most valuable for this build specifically. If you look at the base stats for this weapon, what you'll notice is that we actually have a really high base crit chance here. And so ideally we get crit chance on this. This is especially good because Prime Pistol Gambit by itself is not enough to push this over the always crit threshold. So ideally we get crit chance for sure. I would love crit chance. Crit damage similarly would be very good. Our crit damage base mult here is not that good. So this is kind of a lower priority than crit chance itself. But if we get crit damage, I'm not going to be sad about it. That's for sure. And then from there, it'll be anything else that benefits blast procs. So obviously the main thing that's going to benefit blast procs is just straight up damage, but this damage does stack additively with weak point damage from pain points. So I'm not too excited to get this. What does, however, work directly with that weak point damage is multi-shot. We do get a ton of multi-shot just from galvanized diffusions. Multi-shot isn't that useful compared to a lot of other ones, but it's one of the best stats for sure. Weak point, this is like one of the only weapons in the game that's going to have weak point damage that is affected by multi-shot. So because of that, having the two together with a Riven would be amazing, obviously. The next thing I'm actually going to talk about is Bane mods. So if you have Prime to Expel Grenadier or Corpus or any of the other ones, those work really, really well with Blast because it's going to, one, status already double dips with Bane mods, and that includes Blast. So, and that's actually true for Xata's Whisper also. So we're going to end up with like triple dip Bane mods if we can get it here, which I would love. So hopefully we get that. After that, I think we get into the sort of things that don't directly affect the blast proc, which means smaller number, which makes me sad, but are still good. So fire rate obviously would be very good. Fire rate on this weapon is amazing in general because it has an 100% efficiency buff. So if we could get just a ton of efficiency on that, that would be pretty good. I'd actually be okay with magazine capacity too. So if we could get, just a little bit more mag in there just to get that first kill off, I wouldn't mind that. Similarly, like ammo max, it wouldn't be that great, but I actually do run trick mag just on my normal build for this. So if we had a little bit extra ammo so we don't have just 48 bullets in reserve, that would be pretty nice. But I think probably if I get ammo max, I'd kind of be like, eh. And then elemental damage buffs would make the main hit do more damage, and which would also make the Xata's Whisper procs do more damage, but it wouldn't make the blast proc do more damage because blast procs are not affected by elemental damage. But if that's how it rolls, that's how it rolls. Similarly, like reload speed doesn't really do that much, but our reload is kind of on the higher side too. It's not that fast. So if we get reload speed, that'd be, eh. And I think anything else is bad. So status duration, we don't care about. We're already using Lavos, who has a bajillion status duration just by existing. So we really, really don't need status duration. Positive status chance, again, would be bad. So I think that's mostly it for stats. I think anything else I'd be kind of sad about. Okay, resets here. I don't need any of these, do I? Let's see how bad the challenges are for the last one that I have to do before reset. Oh, it's so easy. Perfect. All right, we should have the mod now. Oh, what a good day. All right, let's go try this thing out real quick. I want to see what this is like before the Riven, just so that we have a good baseline. We're here. Okay, let's give this a go. All right, I'm pretty sure what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be removing magnetic might. This thing right here. Okay, let's give this a go on some gunners or something. Show me what you got. No buffs. This is actually doing damage. It would have taken double that before. Now this weapon's actually usable. Incredible how that works. All right, let's try just Xata's now. Oh no. It's gonna be good. It is one bulleting things right now. Let's switch this to Eximus just so we actually have a better comparison point. Uh-oh. Alright. These are resistant to radiation also. So we're gonna try it with Blast, we're gonna try it with everything. We're gonna see how this goes. Oh no. Okay, yeah, so there's the bubble thing that I was talking about earlier. This makes this much worse. If you get a bubble, it's so over. You basically have to shoot above them and just hope it hits them in the head. But that's pretty good. That's way better than it was before, that's for sure. Okay. I guess it's time to roll the Riven, huh? Alright, this looks like a good place, don't you think? Seems pretty good. Let's roll this thing. Oh, actually, you know what? I should equip this. You can't roll a Riven without it being equipped. That's cheating. Okay, let's start rolling. I'm going to put the good stats up on here on the video. So you'll see my tier list for the actual stats. If you skip to this point, that is okay. We're going to start rolling. I will try to go over any interesting rolls that I hit as we go. So if I see something that's like particularly interesting that I might want to try out, I will go over it. But otherwise, we're just going to kind of roll, and I will speed through all of the bad ones. If it's like exceptionally bad, I'll go over it. But otherwise, here we go. Let's do it. First roll. Weapon recoil, not that great. Plus zoom is a good negative damage. So this is kind of what I would expect from just a normal roll. This is technically better than our current one because the cold doesn't do anything for our blast procs. And the punch through is not that useful for doing a headshot build. So this is kind of what I would expect like your average roll to look like. I will take this one because it's technically better than the first one for the build that I'm doing. But the most of the rest of these are going to be just kind of skipped over. If they're mid, I won't talk about them. Negative crit damage. Okay, so this one isn't that bad. I think it's probably better. I think multi-shot is better than damage. So I will take this, even though it's not amazing. Again, elemental damage is not that good. Magazine capacity is okay. So we'll take this for now, and hopefully we'll get something better than this. Okay, we're on roll 6. We actually hit another one that's technically better than our first one, I think. Crit chance is good. Faction damage, like I said before, is very good with Xata's Blast. So I do kind of want to take this. The only issue with it is that it's damage to infested, and punch through doesn't do anything. So I was considering taking this one, but I think I'll probably just skip it. I think the multi-shot's just more valuable. So negative multi-shot. This one's really bad, in case you can't tell. Okay, so we actually hit another kind of decent one here. This isn't amazing, but it is damage to Grineer, which I think out of the 3 Bane mods that you can roll at Riven is probably the best one, because this one's actually usable in Void Cascade, right? Corpus is kind of usable, but they Corpus don't have armor. So they tend to have a lot less health. So I think I'll probably take this one over Corpus or over Infested basically any day. This is not that amazing anyways, right? We have 2 stats that don't really do that much. Between the elemental damage and the magazine capacity. Like I said before, I will take magazine capacity if that's like the best thing that I get with like 2 other positives and a decent negative, but I think I'm happier with this one, so I'm probably going to take this. All right. This is probably a good one to introduce to what I'm going to dub the Wall of Shame. So over here on the right, I'm going to start adding the Rivens that I think are just exceptionally bad. I think this one speaks for itself, so let me just take a screenshot of this, and we will add it to the wall. All right. Welcome, Athodai Haramag, to the Wall of Shame. You belong here. It doesn't really get that much worse, to be honest. Maybe if we had negative damage or something. This one's kind of interesting. So we have a double Bane mod here. I think I'm actually willing to take this over the other one. So, you know what? Why not? Let's just do it. Crit damage, like I said before, its base crit damage is not that good. And having a double Bane mod like this is actually kind of fun. So I think I'll take this. And the negative is good too. So we will 100% be happy with that. I don't think that's what we'll end up on, but it is decent. This is another interesting one. Fire rate's really fun, but the Athodai has built-in fire rate, so fire rate is one of the less valuable stats. And then Corpus, like just like this one, it's good, but it's not amazing. All right, we actually hit our first negative status chance one here. The only issue with it is that the punch through doesn't do that much. It's also only a 2 stat one, so this negative status chance isn't as low as it would be if there was 3 stats. If you're not aware, like if you have a 3 stat ribbon, the negative will be bigger. So specifically for this case, it's not that good to have negative status chance here, because we'll go from 4% or from 8% status chance to 4%. So this is it's not amazing. It's fine. It's just not amazing. And again, the punch through is not like really a stat on this. So I think I'm preferring the double Bane mod for now. And we'll see where we end up instead. All right, this is another fun one. I think this probably also belongs on the Wall of Shame. We'll see how many of these we actually end up with this time around. But I think it deserves it. So again, status duration doesn't really do anything here. It's a whatever negative. Because I'm mostly using this on Lavos, technically you could take a negative status duration one, and it would be fine. There would be a situation where if I wasn't running on this on Lavos, or if I was running Athodai on, you know, some other frame, that negative status duration would be like objectively bad because it would make it harder to detonate the blast stacks. But it's still real bad. Plus 112 zoom is not that good, is it? Here's another interesting one. Again, damage to infested is probably the worst of the 3 banes. This does technically work on Tech Rot, so it's kind of useful in like ETA or something, but I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest. And again, Elemental is not that great, and Fire Rate's not that great either, so not going to take this. Okay, here's another interesting one. This would be a pretty great Riven if you were not using the Xata Blast stuff. Heat is really good, obviously. Damage is really good. And damage to Corpus doesn't matter that much in general because, you know, Corpus don't really... You don't really run into Corpus that are scaling to level cap that often, right? So I would be okay with taking this, but not for what I'm doing currently. So I'm going to skip it. Okay, I think we actually hit one that I'm willing to take over this double bane. It's not the most amazing Riven I've ever seen. We don't have a negative here, which is sad. I'd love to see a negative for this. But we don't have that, but we do have critical chance, which I was pretty excited to get. I did want a crit Riven for this so that we could see some orange crits. And we did get multi-shot, which is, again, one of the best stats that we can physically get. So these are 2 S tier stats for sure. At the cost of losing some Bane mods on stuff that isn't corrupted. So I think I will take this in general. I'll be a little bit sad to see the double Bane mod go. It would have been fun to get like a triple racist Riven or something, but you do what you gotta do. This one is very interesting. We actually hit the negative status chance the way I wanted it to. We did get a Bane, and we did get damage, which are great. The only issue with it is that we have this negative weapon recoil on here, which I'm not too happy with. One issue I am having here is that we're already dealing with 3 mods that have base damage on this weapon already, between the Arcane, so we're using Arcane Deadhead, right? And then we're also using Pain Points, which has base damage, and then this would also have base damage. So it's not that amazing to have damage on here. But the Bane is really nice, and the negative status chance is really nice. So I could take this in theory. It'd set us at like a 2% status chance, so roughly every 50 enemies we'd get a bubble. If we're, you know, one-shotting them. Every 50 shots is probably a better way to put it. So in theory, I could take this. It makes me really sad to lose a multi-shot crit chance Riven, though. So I'm not really... Like, if the weapon recoil wasn't there, I'd definitely take this. But I'm not always going to be fighting Grineer with this. And if I'm taking this weapon into ETA, damage to Grineer doesn't do anything. Actually, so it does things against Skuldra. It just doesn't do anything in EDA, right? I'm not sure. You know what? I think I will take this just because it's a more interesting Riven. Multi-shot crit chance is really fun. And obviously doing more damage is good. But I think this one is just a more interesting Riven to play with. I think I will take this. I wasn't really that sure, but now that I've thought about it a little bit more, I think we're going to take it. It feels so bad to lose multi-shot crit chance, but it's okay. We still have 800k Kuva to roll, right? Surely we won't get scammed again. Okay, we hit another interesting one. We have a negative, a good negative. This isn't as good as status chance, but it is good. We did hit crit damage and we did hit crit chance. So this is very, very good. Crit damage isn't the best stat, but it does technically boost the damage of the blast procs, since the blast proc scales off of like the original hit. The only issue is that we don't have a Bane on here and we don't have negative status chance. I think this is better though. I don't want it to be better, but I think it is better. It's so much more boring than this one. Like you look at this Riven and you're like, what the fuck is this? But you see this Riven and you're just like, okay, that's just a good Riven. I think I just take the good Riven though. It feels bad, but it's okay. All right, super important roll coming up. This is 69 next. Everybody knows that roll 69 is always going to be good, or at least it's going to be nice, you know? All right, so that was a lie. So I was considering this one, probably a little bit longer than I should have. This one is interesting because we did get multi-shot, we did get damage, we did get electric, and we have a good negative. So in theory, you could take this. I think for general uses, this is actually better than this double crit one. But this one is, it does have elemental damage on here. I think the negative is worse too, in my opinion. And damage isn't that amazing, so I think I'd rather take this one. Again, this Riven is just so boring. Please don't let me get stuck with the boring Riven. Surely we can find something better than that. Okay, well I guess that one wasn't boring at least. All right, give it up for roll 100. Damn it. That one's not good either. The multi-shot was nice, but the rest of it was not. That's okay. We are officially into the triple digits. Give it up for the triple digits. It only gets worse from here. Damn it. Look at that Riven. So we hit 4 stats that are all useful, but none of them are in the places that they should be. I would actually be willing to take... This is the only negative faction damage. Well, actually, so I'd be willing to take negative faction Corpus or negative faction Infested. Probably Corpus would be the best negative if you're doing like 1999 stuff, because Skuldra and Tekrot benefit from Infested and Grineer, but that one's wrong. But we have negative crit chance, so I don't even know I'm talking about this as if it's like anything. This is just bad. It's just not a good Riven, so we're just going to roll past it. So here's another interesting one. It's kind of similar to this one. It does have slightly more crit damage, and we do have a Bane instead of crit chance. But like I said earlier, I do kind of want a crit chance Riven in general. I just think it's... The numbers will change color. And I like it when the numbers change color, so we're probably going to take it over the faction damage, even though I think at higher levels this would be better. Pretty number better. Ooh. We hit another interesting one. I think I kind of already skipped over one that was very similar to this, though. I'm going to have to go back and look at my recordings to be sure, but I'm pretty sure I skipped this earlier. Negative weapon recoil is the only stat on here that's not great. Multi-shot's very good. Damage is okay. Negative stat chance is good. So, I don't know. I think I still skipped this for the same reasons that I skipped it earlier. Damage is just not good enough by itself, and we already have 2 damage mods on this between our arcane and pain points itself. So damage isn't that amazing. Recoil literally does nothing. Multi-shot is multi-shot, and negative stat chance is good. But if you compare it to crit, negative zoom, this is pretty great. So it is hard to beat it. All right, welcome to the halfway point. We're at 511. I believe I started with 1,000,011, so we're about halfway done here. We'll see if we get to 300 rolls. I don't think the math works out for that. I think I end up a little bit before 300, but we'll get pretty close. All right, I think we have another introduction into the Wall of Shame. We do have a Riven that looks very similar to this on the wall already with our plus zoom, negative recoil. All right, let me get this up on the wall and then we'll continue. Here we are. You know what? Actually, let's put it with its brother. They're the same mod anyways. They have different names, but they're the same. All right, let's keep going. Damn. I wish this one was swapped around. Imagine if Status Chance and Grenier were swapped here, and I just had a triple Bane mod with negative Status Chance. I would have 100% taken this, but the luck is not with us yet. We're just stuck on crit zoom. All right, 199. Next roll is 200. Give it up for 200. Surely this is the roll. It's not going to be the roll. It is so not the roll. Check that out. Okay, so these were two like C, D-ish tier stats. Maybe I'll formalize this when I actually record this video, but I'm not too happy with either of them, especially next to reload speed and plus recoil. This is just... And you know what? It's special because it's roll 200 too. So we are going to put this on the Wall of Shame. Oh man, who cropped this stuff? What kind of idiot? Okay, that's close enough. The wall's a little bit scuffed. We'll just have to deal with it. Okay, 300,000 Kuva left. Let's see how this goes. Damn, this one was almost interesting. I would have loved to see status chance and damage to corpus flipped here. We are down to 200,000 Kuva though, so 1/5 to go. We're almost done. Ooh, here's a fun one. I am considering taking this. So I think the same things stand as before, where crit chance is the most important stat just because it makes funny number. Multi-shot is second most important, so those kind of are interchangeable. Damage isn't that great, but it's okay. It does increase the damage to the blast proc, so it's better than like elemental damage. And then faction damage is very good because it double dips on the status damage from blast, and it also works with the xatas as a double dip there too. So we actually, I don't know, this is really good. I'm very much considering taking this. The only issue with it is that it's just damage to Grenier, right? So I wouldn't be using this anywhere else. If this was like a double Bane or something, like if this was Grenier Infested or Grenier Corpus, I would have taken it. For sure. But it is a triple stat one, so I think I do take this, right? Surely it's better to have 3 stats on the thing. It is technically less of each stat, but this does seem like more fun, right? Surely we take this. I think I'm going to take this. It doesn't have crit chance, which is sad, but 2 of the stats are pretty good, and the other one is affection damage, which is one of the most fun stats on one of these Rivens. So I think I'll take it. We'll try this both on Grenier and non-Grenier after this too, just so that we have a good base of reference for both. It's probably going to one-shot both in Sim, to be perfectly honest. I don't think it's going to get that close, because we were one-shotting it even without the Riven. But, you know, we'll see. Here's another fun one. We're just replacing magazine capacity with Grenier. I think Grenier is better though, so we'll take this. Here's another fun one. We did get negative stats chance for once, which is awesome. We got double Bane, which is pretty cool. But it's not Grenier Bane, which I think is probably the most important one. And then it's just regular damage. If this was multi-shot, I'd probably take it. It's not multi-shot though, so unlucky. Still a very good mod though. Just not so good that I'm willing to take it. Oh, this one's cool. I like this one. We do lose the Bane damage though, which is sad. I think I mentioned earlier, magazine capacity is pretty good on this weapon, right? It's not amazing, but it's pretty good. We have a 24 base mag, and the base ammo, I believe, is just 48. So you only have 3 mags to start. So having magazine capacity like this actually does increase your damage, or your total ammo by quite a bit also. Beyond that, multi-shot and crit are just fun. I like both of those stats quite a bit. And they both do affect both the xata and the blast proc, so they're both very good. We are losing the damage to Grenier though, which is kind of sad, and we do lose the base damage instead. So we're trading 3 stats for 2 stats here effectively, and they're not even buffed stats compared to this thing. So like if this was just multi-shot crit chance, I think I might take it because the crit chance and the multi-shot would both be buffed up comparatively. But because we're not, I don't think it's worth it. It feels pretty bad, but it is what it is. We are approaching 100,000 though, so this next one will be 100. No negative on that. Obviously, we're not taking that. So let's see what our 100k is. Not great. It's okay. Negative Bane to Infest is not that good though. And status duration does nothing. So. I would love to get at least one more roll here. We'll see if it happens, but it's not looking too promising anymore, is it? Oh, another fun one that would have been really cool if these were swapped, but no such luck. I think we already saw a Riven like that though, so I already said I wasn't going to take that one, so unlucky. All right, we're down to our last 10 rolls. Let's give it our all. Technically, I'm supposed to stop at 11,000, but I think it's funnier if I just use all of my Kuva. So we're just going to use all of it and just see where we end up. I think at this point, we're not going to get much better than this. We'll have to see to be sure, but it's not looking too promising, is it? And probably what I'll do is that after I post this video, I might roll all the way to 300 just to get this to an even number. Just because I like to do that with Rivens in general. A lot of my Rivens don't have it right now, but it's been like a back burner goal for me is to get all of my Rivens to even rolls. Just because it'd be funnier that way. Like my Opticore Riven doesn't have any rolls on it at all. And so I'd love everything to kind of look similar. All right, technically we have now spent roughly 1 million Kuva on this. But we still got 3 more rolls, so we're going to do them. And it's not that one. 2. Nope. Last attempt. Please, give me something good. Nope, game sucks. Okay, we have found our Riven. Damage Grenier multi-shot. Oh, I have to stretch. Okay, so how happy am I with this Riven? I'll give it like 8 happies out of 10. I would have loved to see a crit chance Riven that I was more willing to take than this. I did find a faction damage mod, which I'm pretty happy with. I did want a faction damage, and we did get multi-shot, and it's hard to be mad about multi-shot. It's a little sad that we didn't find one that had a better negative than Zoom. Zoom was probably the second best one after status chance, like I mentioned earlier in the video. But Zoom is like, I'm so happy with Zoom. So all things considered, not that bad. So I think next is we're going to go try this out in the sim. We're going to see how this does. And then I'll probably do like an exterminate real quick just to see if it feels good. We'll probably try this against like Grenier, and then we'll go into like a Corpus tile site real quick and just give it a test there too. So let's go give it a go. Oh, it's daytime now. We've been rolling all night. Or Cetus night, I guess. Okay, welcome back to Simland. Let's give this a go. We're going to try no augment, no priming, no nothing, just to start. So I'm not going to be using xatas. I'm not going to be using blast. We're just going to try this with just this base build of very boring things, no priming, nothing. And then if this is feeling pretty good, then we'll move on from there. That sure killed the Overguard pretty fast, didn't it? The heat procs are kind of feeling pretty good. We aren't... I believe these are corrupted, right? So we don't have the Bane mod on it right now. Let me stack this back up, and we'll get some more kills. See, that doesn't feel bad at all. For just a regular-ass weapon. No buffs, no nothing. I would be willing to use this in a mission. Which is more than I could ask for. Alright, let's try this again. We're not going to do it on Grenier yet, because I know it's just going to one-shot them. But we are going to try all the buffs and stuff. Give this another go. Oh, God. Oh, God. It's good. What have we done? It's so bad when we get the bubble and the not head, though. Yeah, this is why I wanted negative status chance. This bubble is pulling it so that it's not hitting anything else. I have to, like, shoot up here so that it actually hits their heads. Still pretty happy with it, though. Let's try this on Grenier. This is going to be the most overkill thing I've ever seen, but we gotta try it, right? Like, there's no way this is worth doing if I don't try this on Grenier. Alright, we're gonna shoot one bullet and just see how much it does. Oh, the blast procs haven't gone off yet. Oh no. Uh-oh. A 1.4 million damage Xata Whisper proc is a little silly. Oh, it's so cool. That's so unfair. Alright. If you can't tell, this is probably what I'm going to be using on Lavos most of the time now. So, we're just going to try like a regular-ass mission for this. Just see how it feels. The chance of me getting this in like an EDA or something is pretty low because you have to hit both Lavos and the weapon. Or just one of them if it's EDA. Alright, let's see how this feels in a conjunction survival fissure real quick. Might as well. So these enemies are going to be corrupted, so they won't get the actual faction damage benefit, but, you know, that's kind of something I expected. Can't win them all, so. Press this button, press these buttons, press that button, kill thing. Oh, man. You never really remember how good Blast Clear feels until you have a weapon that force procs Blast. Or I guess an ability that force procs Blast. On a weapon that really benefits from it. And the best part is that if you hit one headshot, like, you get the fire rate buff, and then you can just clear everything else with just regular shots. I really don't have to aim for this weapon to be decent. At least at these lower levels. I still would have loved to get a negative status chance, like, don't get me wrong, but it's hard to be too upset, you know? We spent literally 1 million Kuva on this, and it's done its job. It feels like a weapon now. And you know what? I haven't actually tried the alt fire on this at all. Since I got the augment, so... well, it does... It certainly does things. It kind of feels the same as the primary fire, to be honest. It just wastes more ammo. Because it doesn't have the ammo efficiency. Primary fire only it is. I don't know, there's just something special about clearing a room with Blessed. None of these effects by themselves are new things, but, man, with the augment, with the Kuva spent, it definitely feels good for this to be viable. I'm very happy. Okay, let's try a Sedna disruption real quick, just for fun. I think it would be funny. So, all right, here we go. Our first enemies. Let's see how this goes. It's strong. Who could have seen this coming? I don't even think I'm gonna aim. I think I'm just gonna do this. Okay, let me get a... Yeah, we're not shooting the head here. We don't have xatas on. Okay, well, if you hit the head, it kills them. Oh, it's so good. Thank you, Veilgun, for the Forma gift. 2 Forma, insane. Thank you, as always. Triad Hero, also thank you for the Forma gift. Grendel, thank you for the 2 Forma gift. I don't have a Grendel build. I don't really play that much Grendel. Here, you know what I'll do? In the description, there is a Grendel build. It's not the best Grendel build, but it's a funny Grendel build. It's by Mika. She's a streamer on Twitch. She cracks me up, so. Hollow, thank you for the 5 Forma bundle gift. 15 Forma's a lot. So thank you very, very much. And then Vorpal Void, thank you for the Forma bundle. I think this is like the second time you gifted me stuff, so thanks. Karosu? Thank you also for the Forma. I can't pronounce your name, I'm sorry. Wrenchable69, thank you for the Forma gift also. And then Zen, thank you for the Omni Forma gift. Man, I literally said don't send me Omni Forma. I do appreciate it, but I have no idea what to use that stuff on. I kind of just default to throwing it at like random frames. But I do always, like, as always, I do really appreciate Forma gifts from anybody who sends me them. It lets me make videos easier. It makes it easier for me to just do stuff. So always really appreciate it. Okay, I think that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, you're insane. I kind of expect everybody to skip to the final tests after I finish rolling the Riven, and then just seeing the results of some of the Rivens. So anybody who made it this far and who watched the whole video, you're a crazy person. Like, surely you have something better to do, but also thank you so much. Doing YouTube stuff's super fun. So, yeah. Next video, don't know. If people are interested in more like Riven rolls like this, please let me know. I know it's not like riveting content, but I think there's something to be said for like the highest possible investment in a weapon. In weird builds like this too. I think they're just super fun. So if people do find this interesting, then I'll make more of them. And if not, I'll probably still make more of them because that's how we do it around here. But yeah, I will see you guys next time.